I've got you under my skin. I've got you.
It's 104.9 The Morning X, and believe it or not, the voice you were hearing singing that Frank Sinatra song is the one and only guitar master, Mark Tremonti. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have one of the goats on, always. So we're glad you took some time out to talk to us today. Tremonti Sings Sinatra. Talk about an unexpected project, man. That's really cool and really impressive, actually. So how did this whole thing start?
Well, thank you. You know, about 3 years ago, I became obsessed with singing like Frank Sinatra. Just like as a kid, wanting to play guitar like other players. I heard him sing, and over the years, I'd always kind of sing along to Christmas songs and whatnot. But I was like, you know what, I'm really going to take my time to learn. And about 2 years into it, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then we got the diagnosis that my daughter had Down syndrome. So I was like, you know what, this was for a reason. My obsession had its purpose. So now I have my new purpose, which is, helping those with Down syndrome and raising money and awareness.
And Take a Chance for Charity. This is something that you started. Is that right?
Yes. And it's an organization that's going to challenge other artists or athletes or actors or radio personalities to do a project that nobody would see coming to raise money for charity.
So if Stephen King were to write like a bodice ripper romance novel, for example.
Exactly. Or if Stephen King were to sing a song, or dance a dance or do a magic show, something that nobody would ever see coming.
Sure. Emmett Smith on Dancing with the Stars, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. So that's great. That's a really cool idea. You got any other artists jumping on board so far? Anybody chiming in saying they want to do it?
I've got a bunch of folks like Larry the Cable Guy is my good buddy, and he wants to do a project. Chris Daughtry, The Edge, the wrestler, Steve Stevens, Lone Star, the country band, Blackstone Cherry, Fuel, all kinds of people are coming to the table. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I can't wait to hear Larry the Cable Guy's hip hop
gangster
rap album or whatever it is. Yeah. That's great. So the your charity that you're helping out with your project, the National Down Syndrome Society. Tell me a little bit about that.
So that's the biggest organization in the States to help folks with Down syndrome or families with somebody with Down syndrome. It's there's a lot that goes into having a child with Down syndrome. There's a lot of different hurdles that you wouldn't face otherwise. There's issues with speech and physical therapies and occupational therapies. My daughter had open heart surgery, so there's a lot of heart conditions. Good news is that it's a very common surgery. Bad news is it's a very expensive. You need to have the proper insurance. You need to make sure that people are able to do this. So I want to make sure that everybody's given the opportunities to see their family members thrive and get through any kind of hurdles that people without Down syndrome might not have.
And what better way to reach out and help than by doing something you're good at, doing something that you love doing? With music, music, of course, stretches across several genres. You go and you sing something like Frank Sinatra, you put the guitar down to do this. So how was that for you to do a whole project where you don't even pluck a note?
That was awesome. I was so used to it. 3 years straight of singing in the car and singing. The most practice I got was taking my son to soccer practice. Sometimes he'd have 3-hour practices because he was on 2 teams. And I would drive for 45 minutes to the field singing, practice the whole time while he's practicing, sing on the way home. So I never had a guitar in my hands to begin with. It was just, I was just trying to focus mainly just on singing and not the musicality of the project.
Sure. I saw some of the video that you took, some of the videos that you've released so far. And do you read sheet music?
I do not. I read tablature just like most guitar players.
Sure.
But sheet music was not something necessary for, you're not. If you asked rock musicians in the world how many read sheet music, I bet you it's 1 in 100.
Very few. Yeah. Very few. So you got a group of guys that were actually Frank Sinatra's band to record this album with you.
Yeah. When I told my manager I wanted to do this project, he said, my guitar teacher growing up was Dan McIntyre, who toured with Frank Sinatra. So he set up a lunch meeting with Mike Smith, who was Frank Sinatra's band leader, and Dan. And they said, can your boy sing? And my manager, not having ever heard me sing a note of Frank Sinatra's music, believed in me. He was like, yeah, of course you can. So we set up the first recording session, and then the big challenge was to get the approvals from the Frank Sinatra estate. And they do not give that out other than to a handful of folks, like Michael Bublé and Tony Bennett. So to get it was a huge, huge honor. And, it was a huge mountain to climb, but we finally got there.
Not that I didn't think you could sing, because I've heard the Tremonti albums. I've heard you sing actually when you were here in Belvedere, Illinois, Valentine's Day 2020, right before the pandemic. You guys stopped by with Alter Bridge, and it was real close to the start of the pandemic. You guys were actually fist bumping only at the meet and greet, So it was cutting it real close. We were glad we actually got to have you there. But you surprised me when you took a lead vocal for "Burn It Down."
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite Alter Bridge songs, and it was cool to hear you sing it. As much as we love Miles, it was like, wow, I can't believe Mark's taking the vocal on this one. That's fantastic. But to hear you sing Sinatra was really surprising because of how well you pulled it off, how well you got that style down. It was really, I think a lot of people are going to be really surprised when they hear it, if they haven't already. We were saying in here just yesterday, we think you give Bublé a run for his money.
Well, thank you so much. It's been quite a battle to be able to tackle it, but it's been fun. And I'm lucky enough to have the vocal range that, I can hit the high notes and the low notes that he hits, which is awesome. I couldn't do this with Chris Cornell. I couldn't do this with most singers, but the crooners all seem to sing in a deeper voice, and that stuff suits my voice much better than the high stuff.
Right in that comfortable baritone pocket for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about the cover art for this. I think I saw a video. Did you do this yourself?
I did. Yeah, my publicist Kevin Tremonti's like, you and Frank Sinatra were both hobbyist painters. Why don't you try to knock out the artwork for the album? And he didn't have to tell me twice. I love painting. That's one of the most fun things to do in the world for me. And that's not usually the style of art I do. Usually I like to do to paint stuff as real as I can get it. But I looked up. I have a book on Frank Sinatra's art, and it's more abstract kind of stuff. So that's why I kind of chased down more of an abstract style, and that was a lot of fun.
If you're listening to this on the radio right now, you want to check back on our Facebook page. We'll have the video. We posted a picture of what the album art looks like. It's really unique, and it's really cool. Tremonti Sings Sinatra. Let's go back to that. You have some Italian heritage, correct? I don't want to assume. Yeah, I don't want to assume, but with a name like Tremonti, I can only assume.
I need to get one of those DNA tests that tells me I'm not Italian at all. I bet, it's funny with a last name like Tremonti, it's got to be from Northern Italy, my family's roots, but I haven't done the DNA testing, but I've been an Italian my whole life. So I sure hope I'm Italian.
So you've got that connection. I mean, with that kind of Italian crooner thing, it all connects for you.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Talk about getting out of your comfort zone. With your guitar playing, like if you ever start to get like writer's block or you're feeling stuck, you ever explore other guitar styles, like maybe try flamenco, R&B type, scales and riffs to open up some doors for you?
Oh, absolutely. That's the most fun thing about guitar, is to keep on opening new doors. It's, there's moments I go in all kinds of different journeys. I'll go to the country chicken picking route, and then I'll go, I did the flamenco thing. I bought the flamenco guitar. The toughest thing about that is the structures and then the rhythms of those songs are very tough to grasp.
Yeah, those flamenco triplets can be a bitch.
Oh, they're insane. All the right hand stuff is nuts.
Yeah.
The blues is always something that I absolutely love. I never got great at it. I'd like to get better at it. Jazz is a whole nother animal. So doing this jazz project vocally is such a fun thing because it's so different from what I've done. But yeah, you always got to look in different directions to make yourself a more well-rounded musician. So this is going to be boring if you're just doing heavy metal and that's it, and you just got your blinders on and that's all you do. Sure. Yeah, I think you're going to run out of inspiration and ideas. That's
really cool. So the Paul Reed Smith signature Tremonti guitar was one that I always dreamed about having. It was like the Wayne's World, It Will Be Mine. guitar. Never did get to have it. Now that I have a mortgage, I may never have a chance. But what was that guitar for you when you were starting out? The one that was like the holy grail guitar. I gotta have it.
It was a black Les Paul. That was what I needed to have. It was I grew up with my brothers upstairs. They shared a room, and one of them listened to extreme metal, like Slayer and Venom, and the nastiest music he could find. And then my brother Mike listened to more, Van Halen, Kiss, Ted Nugent, more commercial rock at the time. And I always thought Ace Frehley's guitar was the coolest thing ever. So I needed to have that black Les Paul. And my very first guitar I got was a $10 black Les Paul imitation called a Tara, T-A-R-A. So I got my black Les Paul right out of the gate.
I think we all kind of started out with a Les Paul imitation. The price tag on those things when you're first starting out is not really something that your parents are willing to shell out the cash for.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, $10, man. That's all it took.
Over at the Five and Dime, like Bryan Adams, right?
My buddy was upgrading his guitar, and he wanted to, get in a band with me, just at being friends. He's like, all right, I'll sell you this guitar for $10 if you play in my band. So that was it.
That's awesome. Let's talk about performing live then, because you do have a date coming up where you're performing Tremonti Sings Sinatra. You're performing that album live in mid-May in Orlando. Is that the only date planned for this, or do you have more down the road?
That's the only one that's planned, but we're planning on doing others. There's just not specific shows. There's when I get off this next European tour, we have a big we got a couple months of prep for the Alter Bridge release that I could maybe throw some shows in there. And then we talked about when I go to Europe this winter and I'm already over there, maybe stay over there and do a handful of shows in the UK or maybe even Italy or wherever we can, we gotta test the waters to see where people would want to get.
It's something that I would go see for sure. If you haven't listened to any of it yet, if you haven't seen it on YouTube yet, go search for it. Mark Tremonti Sings Sinatra. I think you got a Christmas album in you, to be honest. I would totally buy the Christmas album. I
would love that. That's been something a lot of folks have requested, and that could be the next excuse for me to get back in the studio with these guys, because it was about the most fun I've ever had in the studio.
Well, that's good to see you having fun and doing it for a great cause. Of course, if you want to learn more about the charity, Take a Chance for Charity, what do we have to do?
Go to TremontiSingsSinatra.com. And I think I've asked my manager to set up a site. I think maybe takeachanceforcharity.org or .com, but it will give you links and directions on how you can take a chance for charity. Or, my biggest favor I could ask of people is to call or email or tweet or Instagram your favorite bands or artists or athletes to take this project on. The directions are all on our site. So I think it will give you links to the Donate Now button and whatnot. But I want to challenge as many people as possible to do this.
When you get Miles Kennedy to do stand-up comedy.
There you go. He's actually a funny guy in the right moments, so he'd be good. Actually, Scott Phillips, he'd be the best stand-up comedian.
Is he the card? Yeah, the card in the group for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Well, Mark Tremonti Sings Sinatra comes out on May 27th. Real quick, is that the same website to get the album when it comes out? Or can you get it on Apple, that kind of stuff too?
You can get, I think it will be on Apple Music, and I think it'll be pretty much everywhere a normal record is. But TremontiSingsSinatra.com is the best place, the easiest place for all the info.
Great. Well, we thank you for stopping by, taking some time to talk to us this morning. Great thing that you're doing, and you sound great, man. To be honest, it's really awesome.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that.
Looking forward to some more Alter Bridge and maybe some more Creed in the future. I know you probably can't speak on that yet, but blink twice for yes.
You never know. It's just it's just making our schedules line up at this point to make it work.
Right, sure. You're all really busy, obviously. So, well, we can only hope. But in the meantime, have fun with everything you're doing, man. Looks like you're having fun, and best of luck to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much,
Mark Tremonti. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Bye-bye.